That image, the one Princess Di in her wedding dress.
Yeah.
Talk about a fairy tale. Right. But as we'll see in this deep dive, there's so much more to Diana's story than the headlines ever captured.
Right. She was navigating this, well, kind of stuffy royal world, just as the whole world was becoming obsessed with image and personality. It's a fascinating time.
We think we know her from those snapshots, but do we really?
Hmm.
But before we get to that whirlwind, let's rewind a bit. A lot of people think of her as just a, commoner who swept Charles off his feet. Not exactly accurate, is it?
Not at all. Diana grew up really close to royalty. Her family had ties to the royals going way back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she actually played on the Queen's estate as a kid.
Wow, so not exactly a stranger to palaces then.
Not even close. But, even with that upbringing, both Diana and Charles kind of had this similar emotional thing in their childhoods.
What do you mean?
Well, they both had all the wealth and privilege, but were also emotionally distant from their parents.
That's kind of striking. I mean, you'd think growing up close to royalty would be all sunshine and roses, but it sounds way more complicated. Could that shared experience, the emotional distance, have played a part in their marriage, do you think?
It's a good question. Maybe it drew them together at first, but, for a relationship to really work, it needs more than shared baggage, right?
Totally. Okay, so let's talk about this marriage. Imagine a 19-year-old, shy as anything, marrying the future king of England who's 32. The whole world saw a fairy tale. But I bet behind the scenes it was anything but.
It wasn't pretty. We know that Charles and Diana both had major doubts before the wedding.
No way. Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there are stories of tears, cold feet. They even tried to back out.
Whoa, intense. Why go through with it then?
Diana, she was the perfect bride as far as the royal family was concerned. Young, aristocratic, virgin. And Charles, well, he was under so much pressure to get married and have an heir.
So it's all about duty and appearances.
Exactly. More about that than love.
It's almost sad to think about. Both of them trapped by what their roles demanded. It just shows how old-fashioned the royals were. Image over happiness.
Totally. That clash, tradition versus modern life, it's a big part of Diana's story. Here she was, a woman of her time, stuck in this system that just wouldn't change. And that clash, well, it really showed up in how they approached their royal duties, too.
How so?
So Charles, he's giving these long, formal speeches about, policy and stuff. Diana, she's connecting with people, one-on-one.
Yeah, I can see that.
She's visiting homeless shelters, shaking hands, really engaging. It resonated with the public in a way Charles just couldn't match.
It's like she just got it, the power of being present, long before we had things like social media. She didn't need policy solutions. Just showing up brought attention to these causes. It felt genuine.
Exactly. That was her strength, but also what caused friction with Charles and the family. They thought she was being, frivolous, missing the power she had and just, connecting with people.
Seriously, they criticized her for actually doing her job well.
It was wild. They were stuck on this image of being distant, untouchable. Diana showed that human connection that was real power.
And of course, that whole happy marriage image, it couldn't last. Once their problems became public, things really started to fall apart. That 1995 Panorama interview where Diana talked about her bulimia and suicide attempts,
Yeah.
that was huge.
Absolutely massive. The royal family, they're all about that stiff upper lip. Suddenly they're faced with these issues they wanted to keep hidden.
But the public reacted differently, didn't they?
Totally. They saw a real person struggling with real stuff. Her honesty, it really resonated even if it freaked out the royals. It was like they wanted to control the narrative, keep everything hidden. But Diana, she just wouldn't be silenced.
It's like she was constantly turning their script upside down. And then there's a whole revenge dress thing. Talk about iconic.
Oh, yeah, the Christina Stambolian dress. That was a statement if there ever was one.
For anyone who doesn't remember, she wore it to a party the same night Charles confessed his infidelity on TV.
Can you imagine the timing? It was brilliant.
While he's trying to manage the story with his carefully worded documentary, she just steals the show. All the headlines are about her, that dress.
It was like she was saying, you want to control the story, watch this. She took what they thought was frivolous, her interest in fashion, and turned it into a weapon.
She totally understood image symbolism. It wasn't just clothes, it was a message.
Speaking of, remember that photo of her in the mom jeans and t-shirt?
Oh yeah, so casual, but confident.
It was like she was saying, I don't need to fit your mold. And, especially back then, women in the public eye were under so much pressure to look perfect all the time.
It's so true.
But she showed you could be powerful, beautiful, without being perfectly put together, just being yourself.
It's a shame she was criticized for loving fashion.
Yeah.
It's like they couldn't believe someone could be intelligent, compassionate, and stylish all at once.
Sadly, that double standard, it's still around. But that's what's so great about Diana. She challenged those norms in her actions and her fashion choices. It's a big reason why we're still talking about her.
She was a fascinating figure, that's for sure. But of course, her story ends in tragedy. It's almost hard to believe someone so extraordinary and then a car crash. It just seems so.
Ordinary. Yeah, I get.
Doesn't seem big enough for someone like her. No wonder there are still so many conspiracy theories about her death.
Right. It's like people can't accept that someone larger than life could die in such a normal way.
Was it the paparazzi? MI6?
Yeah.
The royals? Everyone's got a theory. But you said it earlier, the reality is much less exciting.
A drunk driver. Speeding. No seatbelts. The facts are pretty straightforward.
It's a reminder that no one is immune to bad choices, even with money and fame.
Yeah, that whole, circle of life thing. But I think that's why people cling to the conspiracy theories. They want to make sense of something so senseless.
We want there to be a reason, a bigger purpose. But sometimes the simplest explanation is the right one.
Exactly. And maybe that's not the most important part of Diana's story anyway. It's how she lived, not how she died.
So true. She lived with courage, compassion, and she was always true to herself. She used her position to speak up for those who didn't have a voice and challenge the way things were. And always, she connected with people on a human level.
That's why we're still talking about her all these years later. It's more than just gossip and conspiracy theories.
Her legacy is about vulnerability, empathy, and being your true self. Even when the world tells you to be someone else, those ideas, they still matter. Diana's story went beyond just being a royal or a celebrity.
It's like she was this symbol, but also a real person with real struggles and triumphs. By letting the world see her, flaws and all, she made it okay for others to do the same. It was a powerful message.
And it really makes you think, she's still relevant, even to people who weren't even born when she was in the spotlight.
That's the thing about authenticity, it really sticks with people. She wasn't just some symbol, she was a real person with real joy and real pain, all of it. And when she let the world see her struggles, she helped others see that it's okay to be imperfect too.
Yeah, we're moving away from that perfect princess idea and seeing her as the complex person she was. It's pretty amazing. But as we wrap up our deep dive into Diana's world, I keep thinking, what does it all mean now? Why should we care about a princess who died decades ago?
That's a great question. I think, for one thing, she shows us that even with all the power and privilege in the world, we're all still human, right? Capable of great strength and also vulnerability. And maybe even more importantly, her story shows that authenticity, compassion, empathy, those things matter, no matter who you are or what you have.
I love that. It's so easy to get caught up in the fairy tale, but she was a real person dealing with real-world problems.
And she did it with grace, courage, even when everyone was watching and judging her. It shows us that we all have the power to make a difference, no matter what our circumstances are.
So as we finish up here, what stands out most to you about Diana's story? Her courage to be different, her ability to connect with people, or maybe just that reminder that life is precious and it can change so fast.
It's a powerful story, no matter how you look at it. If you want to go deeper, I definitely recommend checking out those Noble Blood and You're Wrong About episodes. You might be surprised at how much her story still resonates with us today.
It's a fascinating look at a woman who changed the world just by being herself. And on that note, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.